Yes. Let's go, dude. Holy cow. Oh man, I got something special for you guys today. Can the CLIMO discs make me better? Check it out. I got the first champ. I got two blues because you gotta get two putters. Why not? They are 173, 174 gram, 2300 flight numbers. First impressions, they don't feel great. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. A little bit deeper than I thought it was gonna be. It's got a bevel on it. The plastic, for some reason, to me, is just really smooth. It feels like it just wants to slip out of my fingers a little bit, kind of like a premium plastic, but it's a base plastic. It's kind of hard to describe, but I'm excited. I saw a couple of review videos on them. People were putting great with them. They seem to fly super well, so we're gonna give them a shot, see how that goes. Next up, we have the Bel Air, got the red, and this disc feels really good. A little bit deep again as well, kind of similar to a more shallow pyro feeling, I would say, but it's got a little bit more dome to it than a pyro does. I'm in my car because it is super windy outside, and I'm afraid you won't be able to hear what I'm saying out on the course. So before we get out there, Bel Air, really excited to try that one out. And then we got the Skyway. This feels really good. The plastic that they're using for this Bel Air and the Skyway feel amazing. They feel super grippy, flexible enough that I can bend it pretty well. It's got a little bit of dome to it, but not an uncomfortable dome. Yeah, just perfect. This is supposed to be the Wraith clone as far as I can tell. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what we're rolling with, and let's have some fun. All right, first throw ever with the CLIMO disc. Let's see what we can do. We're gonna throw the Bel Air right on hole one here so we can get good stability out of it. Wow, very surprised by that flight. That was really good. Hopefully you can hear me over this wind. This wind is nasty. But that was a right to left, mild headwind. That disc just flipped up a little straight, rode really straight, had no chance of burning over at all in this little headwind, and then faded out really well at the end. That flew really well. I'm really excited about that. So let's see if we can keep that up with these other discs, see how they fly. All right, guys, what a great start. Now, let's make a challenge. This is a challenge for you guys, not for me. I don't care how I play. But if this video gets 100 likes, that is anything beyond, way above anything that we've ever come close to. If this video gets 100 likes, I will use these discs in my first tournament of the year. All right? Let's make it happen. I'm really excited about that first throw. That felt really good. So hopefully these other ones can keep it up. Let me clarify, that's these discs and only these discs. I'm not gonna have my bag, I'm just gonna have these 4 discs with me for that tournament. So it's up to you. All right, hole 2, it's a lot farther than that sign says. It's probably like 380, maybe 350, flat ground. We're gonna take the Bel Air, see if we can get a nice, good turn out of it. I might throw it on Annie, although people like Paul Ulibarri, as he was throwing in his video, he was getting some really good ride, but he also has an incredible spin rate, and he's a pro, right? I'm an MA3 player. Can I get a lot of spin? My spin rate's probably like 800, 900 max, I would say. Probably not great. So I'm gonna throw it more flat, maybe a little Annie, and see if I can get it to ride, then fade it out of it. This wind might pick it up and just turn it into a roller. It's pretty strong left to right, we'll see. Yes, let's go, dude. Holy cow. Man, I don't know if I've been this excited about discs in a long time. Let me tell you, both those throws, hole 1 and 2 off the tee, did exactly what they should do. I'm not a great player by any means. You guys have seen me play. I'm not amazing. I'm not great. MA3, I'm comfortable where I'm at. Well, that disc, in this strong left to right headwind, turned over, but didn't burn over. Still fought out of it with enough integrity to fight back in this beautiful S-curve. Could not ask for anything better. That was amazing. All right, we're gonna take that Bel Air on a Annie for hole 3 here. I want it to flex and then fight out of it and hopefully plant me right by the basket. We'll see. Let's see if we can get another really good rip with this Skyway here. I'm gonna take this right path, throw it just flat as can be. Hopefully it just drifts right over left of the basket and trees over there. Alright, the wind definitely affected that one. Oh man, this wind is nasty. I'm not sure exactly how to throw this. I do want it to go pretty far to the left, but I'm worried if I throw it on any hyzer at all, it's just going to get slapped down. So I might just try and throw it flat. And hopefully it kicks up a little bit and then still has the stability to fight back out of it, but we'll see what happens. Alright, that just went dead straight with that wind, so. Alright, unfortunately, because it just didn't get back left at all, I got this wall of trees to get through. Normally you want to try and land the opening over here with a nice skip or something, but we're going to take the Bel Air, throw it at the wall of trees, and hopefully we get lucky. That crazy wind, man, it didn't let it fade back left again. Yeah, you can see what happened is it was pretty strong, almost direct headwind that we threw into, and that disc is not stable enough to really handle that kind of headwind, so it just kind of kept fading to the right. It didn't burn over at all, so it's stable enough not to turn it any kind of roller and get away out of your way. I still have, you know, a 30-foot putt for eagle. This is a par 5, even though it should really be a par 4 at most. But we still got a putt there for eagle. We'll see if we can capitalize here, but not as overstable. They're pretty workable discs, which is really cool. More on the overstable side for sure, but they're definitely not really overstable that they're unusable for somebody like me who is an MA3 with more of a noodle arm, so that's really important. That's really interesting because that's a straight headwind and those discs did not get any glide at all. I know Paul Ulivari, his video, he was talking about how his had a ton of glide, and I'm just not sure if the normal putters he uses have a lot of glide, because those didn't glide at all. They just kind of dropped right out of the sky. I'm used to putting with like roaches, and even I've mixed in some pixels and stuff in there, and those discs have way more glide than these do. So kind of throwing me a little off guard. I'm expecting them to float to the basket, but they just kind of want to go through their little stability motion. 2-3-0-0. I definitely say more of like a 2-3-0-1 or even 2-3-0-2 from what I'm seeing so far. At least with the way I putt. All right, hole 6 here. I'm going to take the Bel Air back at it. 5-4-0-2. I'd say it doesn't really get any turn out of it. So if you kind of flies how you release it with some good fade at the end. Obviously the wind will affect it, so it will kind of get some turn with a direct headwind. But that's every disc does that to some degree. Now this one doesn't quite have enough stability to fight out of that if it's a pretty strong headwind like today, but right now I'm going to throw it into a right to left wind, crosswind, so hopefully I can throw it flat, hopefully it kind of holds it and then gets out of it. We'll see. Oh, that was almost really good. It flew exactly like I wanted to until you saw the wind drop, just threw it into the ground. So if it wasn't for that wind drop, I think I would have been right next to the basket, because that flipped up, was kind of riding really straight, and then would have faded out, but the wind just kind of really lost probably about 30-40 feet of its flight, which I'm about 40 feet from the basket, so I think I would have been pretty much parked. All right, as we saw with the last hole, the wind's definitely acting more like a tailwind right now, pretty much throwing the same direction as we were in the last hole. So we're gonna see some stability out of this disc. I'm expecting it to go pretty far to the left. I'm wide open field, just get around those trees and turn it wide open to the basket there. So rip it and rip it. As much as I've been able to this winter, I've been practicing my faster run-ups. That was an attempt at one of those, and naturally I kind of threw more on hyzer. It did flip up though. It flipped up to flat. Problem is I also threw it, you know, 30 feet higher in the sky than I needed to. Ended up hitting this tree right in front of me here. Still carried another 120 feet after hitting that tree. So I think I had some good power, good speed behind it, but I think we lost a little bit of distance with that attempt at a quick run up. But still learning. We still got 100 feet to the basket. Yeah. We're gonna try and approach here with our putter. Give a nice little putter jab at it. 100 feet or so. We overshot the basket by a good margin, probably 20, 25 feet or so. So this will be our first real putt, I feel like, of the day. That's not in first real C1 putt of the day. Everything's either been, you know, 10 feet or less, or, you know, 40 feet or more. So first 25, maybe even 30 feet past the basket. But I'm not a really good judge of distance, so I can't measure anything past, you know, about 5 or 6 inches. So bam! This is a perfect shot for the Bel Air, and rip it out a little wide, let it fight in about 250 feet or so. Luckily it did go a little farther than I initially thought, so we're only about 40 short of the basket, but still wasn't a great throw. Hopefully we can get a nice C2 putt for you today. Alright, I think a lot of the big problem for someone like me in MA3, these are really good discs so far. I've loved them in this round. I'm not great at throwing in tailwind in general. Headwind I feel like I've actually gotten a lot better at, you know, just expect to just kind of dump over and be flippy. These have been able to hold up to a headwind really well. Tailwind, I don't think I have really the arm speed to really fight, you know, the wind drop that's going to happen on your disc. So still got a pretty strong tailwind for this last hole 9 here. We got about 400 plus feet, 425 the sign says, to the basket. I'm going to just kind of rip it on an Annie and see if I can get, you know, 300 out of it. We'll see. But yeah, that was not great, but threw a little nose up like normal. With that tailwind, it had no fight at all. Fight over it just kind of burned over right away. Kind of to be expected. We still probably have like, I don't know, 150 to the basket, so we probably got 275 out of that rip, but nothing like, you know, 350 like I can do, you know, 400 like I can normally do, you know, just about 450 sometimes, you know, sometimes like 475 if I'm like really like got good sleep and, you know, it's perfect conditions, and, you know, so yeah, so I'd say probably about 100, 125 to the basket. So really wasn't terrible off the tee, but could have been a lot better for sure. And we're gonna try another approach shot with these putters and see if we can get it right up there. All right, guys, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm really happy with the weather today in general. Actually, it's a lot warmer, especially it's January in Minnesota. We don't have any snow, which is just so unusual. It's almost 30 degrees outside, so being able to play this winter and still give you guys some content has been, yeah, a huge blessing in that regard. If it was snow on the ground right now, you guys would be getting nothing. So grateful for the weather, albeit how unusual it is. But let's get into the discs here. Starting with my favorite disc out of the bunch so far, that would be the Skyway. I really liked the Skyway. It had like the perfect stability for me. As far as the disc in my bag that I relate it to the most right now would be the Wrath. The Wrath. The Wrath. It's probably a faster speed Wrath. So my Wrath is a 9-speed. It has pretty similar flight numbers. I can throw it flat and expect it to really just kind of ride straight with fade at the end. You can give it some Annie and it's going to flex, get a nice S curve and come back. I could not get, I don't have the arm speed to really get this thing on some hyzer, have it flip over and ride to the right, like some like Paul Ulibarri in his review video, if you've seen that. But this disc is just really comfortable. It's, 11 speed, but it feels really good in the hand. And I would say it's a great disc for an MA3 player. I really liked the mid-range as well. The first few shots I had with it were really good. I had a really hard time trying to figure it out in the wind. I feel like it wasn't consistent. The first throw I had with it was amazing. I was like, dang, this disc is really good. The next few I had with it were in some different wind conditions, and it just was not staying in the air. I could not get it to stay in the air. I probably wasn't throwing it high enough, but it just seemed to be dropping out of the air. I threw it in a lot of tailwind, so that could make sense why it was falling out of the sky. But similarly, this is probably similar to like maybe a faster speed tempo. Something that I'm used to with it would be like the tempo from the Axiom MVP line there. But this is not as comfortable as like a tempo in the hand to hold. So similar problem there, not getting the nose down in that tailwind. But it still flew really nice. I had some really good shots with it. I'll have to give it some more testing in better conditions. As far as the putter, I had that one clutch putt that was really good with it. Throwing it felt better than putting with it. It didn't have as much glide as I was hoping it was going to have. I really like a glidey disc, something that I can just kind of point and shoot at the basket, and I know it's going to get there regardless. But this was not going as far as I wanted to on a putt. It kept leaving me 5-10 feet short almost, and then sliding up to the basket rather than being chain high when it got to the basket, which is what I'm used to. So if I was putting with like my roaches on a lot of those putts, they probably would have gotten to the basket, at least actually gave me a chance, whereas this just kind of similar with all these discs I was running into, they were kind of falling out of the sky, and that was likely due to the wind situation that was going on. So it's hard to give like a really fair review. Overall, these discs are awesome. I'm 100% down to throw these in a tournament. All you got to do to make sure I throw all of these discs in a tournament and no other disc is to get this video some likes. So 100 likes, I will throw all of these discs in my next tournament. Bag only these discs in my next tournament. If you're out there, who Ken CLIMO is, give the guy some love. Innova, he did a lot for Innova, and they didn't really do a lot for him back in return. So really cool to see a company like Discraft stepping up and saying, hey, use us as your manufacturer. Let's get you your own line and make you your own discs. Ken CLIMO discs, check them out. Highly recommended. I love throwing these. I want to see what they fly like in better conditions. That's all I had for you today, guys. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you at the next tee time.